Hey, what's up, it's Rich, back with another Steam Deck video, and today's a big one. A pretty huge patch for the Steam Deck has pushed out this morning, so we're going to jump in and take a look at it. But if you look over here, you'll see one of the big features. They're calling it the lock screen update, and as you can see, the Steam Deck now is a lock screen, and as somebody with young kids who are very good at buying things they shouldn't, I'm quite happy about this one. So let's jump in and take a look at all of the great stuff in this latest Steam Deck update. So this is what the lock screen looks like on the Steam Deck. Currently I've got an Xbox controller hooked up, and the good thing is it automatically recognizes the controller, and it'll change the buttons you need to press to match. Now obviously on the Xbox controller the buttons are labeled the same as on the Steam Deck. I haven't tried it with my PS5 controller yet, but I would assume that they would be altered to to match the square, circle, X, etc. So this is basically all it is. It's just a lock screen. That's all it seems to do. It's a 6-digit pin. That's the only option you have, and you unlock it by remembering your pin first and foremost. So I'm going to try and press the buttons in the right order. After that clumsy attempt to unlock my Steam Deck, I'm now in, and I want to show you just quickly how the lock screen is set up, and then we'll jump into the rest of the update. But it's really, really easy. Basically, you just have to open the settings, and it's here under security, and you've basically got these three options. You can over when the lock screen activates. So you can have it when you're switching into desktop mode. Not really sure why you'd want that, but okay. Before you show the login screen, and on system wake and power up, which is basically what I've got it for. If I've put it down, turn the screen off, put it back to sleep, that's generally when it's out of my possession. I'll put it down on the side. I've now installed the lock screen so that if my kids pick it up and think, "Oh, I'm gonna have a play around with this," they can't get in, because obviously I've got Steam set up so that I don't have to keep messing about with passwords and things, because it's annoying and it's mine, but kids. But it's a nice little security touch. Obviously, especially if you're leaving the house and you take it out and about with you, as you will do with something like this. So it's simple. I don't understand why it wasn't there to start with, but it's here now, and that's the main thing. And that's literally all you have to do to turn it on. Obviously, when you first get to this option and you haven't enabled it, you will select one of these toggles. That will then trigger the process to enter your 6-digit pin. Enter it once, enter it twice. Easy. So I'm going to put the controller down now, and obviously we're going to take a look at the rest of what's in this update. Now, it is a fairly hefty update. There's a fairly detailed patch notes, which all the links will be in the description, so you can go and check those out at your own leisure. I'm not going to spend all day going through them, because we would be here all day, and let's face it, you don't want to listen to me all day. Valve's calling it the lock screen update. Obviously, that's the first feature they've talked about. We've already been through that. Really straightforward. The second one is the updated achievements page. Now, I haven't actually gone and had a look at this yet on my Steam Deck, but basically what Valve's saying is they've refreshed the achievements page just to make it behave and look better on the Steam Deck. It's faster to load, it's easier to navigate, and you can now toggle between stats and global stats, or use the new drop down to compare your achievements with your friends. And again, this is all just part of the process, I suppose, for the Steam Deck. Valve is having to merge the Steam client and all the features into this handheld friendly, touch friendly UI. This is one of those. I'm not really a big achievements guy on Steam, but if you are, great, jump in. Let me know what you think of it in the comments. This one's particularly important, especially as the Steam Deck actually starts to become more available. More people get hold of it. Localized keyboards. Valve says, we've added localized keyboards for 21 languages and layouts. Multiple keyboards can be enabled at the same time, and a new globe button will appear when you've got more than one keyboard selected. Tapping this button will cycle through your enabled keyboard. So it's very much like on a smartphone. So if you've got multiple languages set up on a smartphone, or even in some cases, I think just with like the emoji keyboard and things, you get that little button in the bottom corner. You can just cycle through it. Great stuff. And Valve also says they're currently working on keyboards for Chinese, Japanese, and Korean. So those aren't ready yet, but if you're in one of those markets, it'll be ready soon. And based on how fast Valve is actually pushing out these updates and iterating on SteamOS, on Steam Deck, I don't think we're going to be waiting too long for it at all. This next feature is one that I'm really quite excited to see. Now, multiple window switching specifically is talking about apps and games that have more than one window and being able to switch between them. So at the minute, if you've got a game open and you've, say, got Google Chrome open at the same time, and you maybe got the Proton Up QT application open, you can switch between all of these in the quick access menu, the left-hand one, by pressing the Steam menu, and then everything that's open is listed at the top, and you can just switch between them, and it's easy. But this is specifically for apps and games that have more than one window. So what we're really talking about here is game launchers, which Valve has tried to sort of maybe steer away from. You know, you only get the Steam Deck verified badge, it seems, without the launchers. But lots of older games in particular, developers are not going to update these to get rid of the launchers just to make them get that badge. You know, Borderlands is a prime example of this. You know, it works fine, but it has a launcher. They're not going to update Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel to get rid of those. What this does is means that the launcher will operate as a separate window. So if there is a launcher, you'll have a launcher and you will have the game window. Same with Google Chrome. If you've got multiple windows, say you've got Stadia open in a tab and then you've got just a normal web browser open, fine, you can flick between the two at ease. Where I've found this already is particularly useful, and I will flip over to the deck to show this, is with Heroic Games Launcher. So I have Heroic Games Launcher, need the library. So I've got Heroic Games Launcher installed, obviously for my Epic games. But basically, this obviously has to operate in SteamOS as a game in the gaming UI. It's just how it works. So if I open up this menu at the moment, you can see that it's open. And before, if I was playing a game in Heroic, you would still only have this. You would still only see Heroic Games Launcher. So if you went and hit exit game, it would just close out the whole lot. But now, if I open Hades, for example, here in the Heroic Games Launcher, you'll notice two things. The first of which is the frame rate in the corner. We'll get into that in a second. But if I now open this window, we have the two windows. Now, I'm not going to switch between them because my Xbox controller is broken, I think. The buttons keep sticking. So, but you get the idea. So instead, before it would have just listed the Heroic Games Launcher, and that would be, everything would be a blanket underneath that. Now, at least, it switches out the game and the launcher, so I can go back to Heroic, I can switch to Hades. Wouldn't necessarily want to, but it is nice to have, and it gives you that little kind of separation between the two. Now, obviously, the other thing I've just mentioned there, is the frame rate. And, indeed, close this. We close it down entirely. It's been in the beta channel in testing for a little bit, but if we open the other quick access menu on the other side, and I will get rid of my face, so you can see properly, this uncapped frame rate has now made it to the stable channel. It's been in testing, people have been playing around with it, but basically there's this new option now added to the frame rate limit at the end. We can go, obviously, from 15, 30, and 60 as before, but we can now turn it off entirely. Now, obviously, in my opinion, there's limited use for this. I haven't even tried it yet with my high refresh rate monitor to see if it can actually push out those proper high refresh rates to the external display. I would assume it can, but I haven't tested it yet, so I don't know. It'll be useful for benchmarking performance at the very least. But as you saw in Hades there, the frame rate went sky high. This is obviously going to impact battery life. I played a little bit of Hades about an hour ago, and in one run I lost about 6% battery life, and it wasn't a long run. It lasted about 5 minutes. So you're not really going to be using this handheld for obvious reasons. The battery life's going to tank. You've only got a 60 Hz display anyway, but the feature is there. Valve also added half rate shading, which applies a variable rate shading, which is another battery saving feature. There's a few battery saving features in this update. So I'll put the controller back down. As I've mentioned, we've got some battery saving updates. These are, I don't want to say smaller, but wrapped up in the SteamOS update section and the bug fixes and improvements. Valve's basically highlighted new features separately here. And under SteamOS updates, there's some good stuff. There's some interesting stuff. Now, the first of these, this is useful if you're buying a third-party charger. Steam Deck will now warn you if you're using a power adapter that isn't charging it quick enough, because you know, if you're new to this, USB-C is not all the same, and you need a charger that's going to be able to charge at the same rate as the 45-watt charger that comes with it. So that's good. At least it's going to tell you now this isn't good enough. Get a better one, or just, you know, carry the original. The LED now dims a few seconds after plugging in and unplugging, which so it's less annoying at night time. That's handy. I've left my Steam Deck on charge at the side of my bed a couple of times already. The light was really, really bright, so that's great. Battery life is improved in idle or very low usage scenarios, so that's good. It would have a tendency to ramp the fans up, and you just, you know, it's sucking battery out even when it's just sat on the side. So always happy for that, because that's where you really want those battery optimizations. If it's just sitting on standby or not really doing anything or just downloading an update, you don't want it to be chewing through your battery life. SD card formatting now tests to see if a card has less storage than advertised. I've not heard of issues with that, but again, better to have it than not. Uncapped frame rate, we've already talked about. This is one for the people who want to completely ruin their Steam Deck and put Windows 11 on it. Valve has added FTPM support, which means that installing Windows 11 is now easy. If you weren't aware, Windows 11 has this installation requirement of a trusted platform module. On desktop, it's not much of an issue on modern machines, and there are ways you can bypass it in even in the software during the update process. Valve's made it so you don't have to do that, but honestly, don't put Windows on it. Seriously, don't put Windows on Steam Deck. Half rate shading experimental option, which we've just seen in the previous section, forcing 2x2 variable rate shading into existing games for power savings, and overall stability has been improved. There's then a link to the full patch notes. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here. They have mentioned that the update was re-released to fix an issue with lock screen pin entry. It's also important to note this, it probably should have been at the top of the previous post, but when updating, if you haven't updated your Steam Deck yet, make sure you're in the gaming mode, not on the desktop, because if you're on the desktop, people have been saying that they've applied the update from the desktop mode and they got stuck in a boot loop and they got to recover the thing and start all over. Nobody wants that. So keep it in the game mode, go into the settings. That's the easiest way to update the Steam Deck anyway. Just go back into it, go into the settings menu, tap the button, it'll do the thing, a few minutes, it's downloaded, it's installed, you're off to the races again. There's updates to the client. Highlighting here with the lock screen, for example, that you can use a touchscreen as well as the controller. I just use a controller, but you know, you can use both. Some updates to friend requests, a bunch of operating system updates. We mentioned the FTPM support, messaging. So lots of good stuff, lots of fixes. And this one as well, improved compatibility for a number of Type-C docks and power supply units. USB-C is not USB-C is not USB-C. It's been a thing pretty much since USB-C started becoming a thing. There's only so much you can do. I haven't come across any issues with any plugging in any accessories yet to the Steam Deck, but again, Valve's working on it clearly. Link to the full patch notes will be in the description below, as well as the blog post. But that's it for today. It's a pretty hefty update, and you know, Valve's working really, really hard on this. Steam Deck is getting better and better every single week. If you've got a Steam Deck, if you've got this update, you like it, you don't like it, drop it in the comments below. Let's see what the community thinks. That's it for now. I'm gonna go try and edit this, get back on the Steam Deck, and play some Hades at 260 frames a second, because why not? Take care.